Today we say goodbye to version B128 of U-Boat, and we'll do so by giving the enemy a nice present. We'll be bringing it to their doors. Ein Geschenk für die Tommies. This version was already bringing a lot of improvements to this game, but the next version promises to be a huge update. Most of the previous updates were about game mechanics. In the first couple of versions, the characters were blocking each other's way. There have been physical improvements. There has been an update of the Unity version. These developers have not been sitting still. I have been sailing around in the Mediterranean from La Spezia for a while, but we have been relocated to our main port, La Rochelle, and as a kind of saying goodbye, we're attacking the harbor, Grand Harbor, and yeah, we're just doing it while being fully afloat. Torpedoes launched and on their way to their targets. First is a hit. Second is a hit. Look at that momentum the ship got from that explosion. It's sailing out of camera. We'll have to finish it off with a second torpedo. The crew managed to get the fires out. Second torpedo setting it completely on fire. It's time to leave this party and say goodbye. We continue our travels towards Gibraltar Strait, and we're hoping to pass Gibraltar at night, of course. But just before Gibraltar Strait, we almost passed our convoy. We see it in the end. You see it's not heavily defended. At least the destroyer is way out of reach. So of course we'll decide to follow and attack. If you noticed my officers, because I am out of visible range for them, I do not need them at their command stations. And as we go into attack mode, you see I have both periscope manned, I have depth steering, I have one guy loading our torpedoes and heating them up. I just turned off the ventilator. targets a C3, which is I consider actually an easy target, and we're going to take out the tanker, so that will be a lot of tonnage with just 2 torpedoes. As we're going to fire, we're going to be sitting still. It'll be hard to find us as soon as the alarm is raised within the convoy. First target. Well, the tanker isn't always a one-hit sink, but as soon as it catches fire and starts exploding, it's going down. C3 is, if you hit it good with 1 torpedo, it almost always sinks. This gives us time to sink another, at least the closest by, which is another 450 GRT. We'll also start leaving the theater now, before we'll get company. As you see, I did one of my famous double shots from Captain Thomsen, which means firing 2 T1s right after each other, which then gives a double hit, gives you XP, that's Nice. And also the 2 T1s are almost always a fatal sink. Well, if anything happens, we'll be dead. There's no seabed that's going to save me. So I better stay out of reach of these escorts. And after we pass the escorts, we're going straight into Gibraltar Strait. Escaping the convoy wasn't that hard. Now we can radio in our successes. And here we are, Gibraltar Strait. Well, the idea is to go as fast as possible, a little bit under the shoreline. Try not to hit how you get beached. But there will be enemies. So we go to deck wash. We can still use the diesel engine at a fair speed of 25 kilometers an hour. But that still will take 2.5 game hours to cross this. Oops, that is one very close by, so we go to periscope depth immediately and save some oxygen, because probably we'll be underwater for a while. We have been seen as well. Now the fun fact is we have been seen, but they have lost sight now. So getting out of the way will maybe get us out of there. One of the reasons I now plot this course in this particular way is that I want to keep in between 1 and 200 meters depth. So when anything happens, I could go down to the seabed and save my ass and that of my crew, of course. And by going close over the bottom, we are invisible for sonar. And if we keep silent, then we can get out of here. We have a sailor with a heart attack. Gives my medic something to do. Someone to save. But it's how do you say, the danger is real. This is a little trick I use to get some extra oxygen in. Go to 40 meters and then go to deck wash. It sucks in a little bit of oxygen. And so I remain invisible. The idea was, of course, to cross the strait with the cover of night. But because of the convoy attack and all, we arrived a little bit late. So now we're actually early in the morning, which makes us quite visible. The constant stress of alarm is taking its toll on my crew. Of course, there's some sea wolves in there. It's 1942 by now. But I do not dismiss somebody because they have one little nervous breakdown. We now service shortly in order to start the diesel engine. But we want to stay out of sight, of course, of that destroyer. We've been scraping the bottom. That was hurting one of my crewmen. As you can see there in a very light colored little spot. Way out of sight. In order to stay out of sight, we go down. Never know, there might be popping up a plane out of nowhere. But it seems we have gotten through. But actually, this was one of the easiest crossings I made. So now it's off to La Rochelle, and then we say farewell to B128. One of the improvements was also the new map. Yeah, they're going to redo that again in B129, but already this was great. Yeah, the new how do you say, storage thingies that you could now have 100 stock and buy a lot of stock at the time at the port shop. All nice improvements. But in the next we'll have milk cows, we'll have weather stations to place. Oh. We'll have some more time outside of the boat, inspection of neutral ships. We have a new torpedo launching system. Oh, so much. We might not even recognize this version B128. Although, of course, the main game stays the same. So we put out our flag, turn on the normal lighting, and we do as if nothing ever happened. And shortly we'll arrive back at Port La Rochelle and see if they still know us there. I'm going to say goodbye already, and I'm looking forward to the new version B129, and of course you can count on Captain Thomsen to make his reappearance shortly after. For now, farewell B128.